Bill wants to talk.
We're going to get started here.
Okay, use the microphone.
Can you use the microphone, please?
Use the microphone.
Okay, my name's Bill Edmonds. I'm the president.
Use the microphone.
Good afternoon. Back, can't hear.
Thank you.
My name's Bill Edmonds. I'm president of the Northcliffe HOA. This is not an
Hold it
HOA
to your
meeting.
mouth.
This is not an HOA meeting. Okay, this is a community meeting for all the people in the communities, not just Northcliffe. So I want to start that off to begin with. The second thing, for those of you who are standing, I want to apologize. The city limits this room to 80 chairs. And we've got 80 chairs filled, so I'm sorry for the rest of you. It's not us, it's the city occupant capacity for this room. So I think most of you have been handed an agenda as far as today. I'm going to briefly go over it for some of you who didn't get one. I'm sorry, I made 90, I figured 80 plus 10. I should have done 110. Okay, we're going to start off, we're going to have a prayer to begin with, open the meeting. We're going to start off with a prayer to start the meeting, then we're going to go to meet the candidates. And those are listed as far as the places that they're running for. After they do the meet the candidates, we're going to ask the candidates to, we're going to thank them very much and ask them to leave because some of the stuff we're talking about, it might be a conflict of interest for them since they're going to be voting on what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to ask them to leave once we've done through the meet the candidates. Then we're going to go into the rezoning, which will be done by Heather Jackson, Phil Jackson, and Richard Moss, and we hope to end about 8:30. If we go a little bit over, I booked the room a little bit over, so we should be okay with that. So without that, John?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we gather today as neighbors and homeowners. We thank you for this community, for the homes we share, and for the diverse lives that make up this neighborhood. Grant us wisdom and understanding as we discuss the matters that affect us all. Help us to listen with open hearts, to speak with love, kindness, and to find common ground for the good of our shared homes. May our efforts lead to positive change and strengthen community spirit. We pray these things in your precious name. Amen. Amen.
Okay, to start off with, we're going to start with the candidate for mayor, and with that, we're going to start with Mayor Ralph Gutierrez. They'll do a brief introduction, and then we'll have 10 minutes of questions and answers for them, so you can find out what they want to do for our community. There you are, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Wow, this is more people than I have in my own chambers when we're discussing a lot of business here. So I wish that was the case every time we have items up for interest. You'd be surprised that there's less than 10 people show up. But anyway, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for allowing us to address your concerns. I'm here to be transparent and forthcoming and answer every question that you may have. I know there's passion in this room. I feel it. So with that, Shirts is growing. We all know that. We see it. We have I-35, and we are basically at the gateway of this growth. Between here and Austin, I mean, it's going to be connected. We're talking another Dallas, Fort Worth type of area here. But with growth comes new residents, new businesses, and new challenges and opportunities. And that's the thing that we have to work through and try to meet those challenges. But with our community, we can take those challenges and make them into opportunities, and those opportunities into lasting success. And that's what my council is committed to do, is for this city, in the best interest of this city. We all have one thing in common. to do what's best for this city. What we don't have in common is the vision that we have for this city. And that's the only difference. But with that, do they ask questions or the other guy comes up here? All right, let's go for it. Questions? Yes, sir.
I believe, where do you stand where in taking care of the city in the best interest of the city, also taking care of the best interest of the citizens who live within the city and the community that they live in?
Well, that's, we try to do that every time. I mean, the only thing that we're short of is funds. I mean, we can't take care of everything that comes up, but we try to do our best. For instance, the potholes. You know, we can't fix them if we don't know they exist. And last quarter, we did 376 potholes. We actually did 376 potholes. And just this budget season, we passed $2.2 million to work on the streets and the infrastructure here at Northcliffe.
Sir, that is a complete lie of you not being aware. On the last meetings, we actually mentioned it to you more than once of some of the issues that we were running through in our current community.
Be specific. What issue did you bring up to
We
us?
mentioned potholes, we mentioned the streets, we mentioned the lights, we mentioned the electricity, we mentioned the plumbing, we mentioned the dirt out there that's not suitable for building a lot of homes. We mentioned irrigation. I mean, I could keep going if you like.
I had never seen you in my chamber, sir. I have never seen you in my chamber, and you're bringing this up to my attention.
Yeah.
We have addressed some of these things. We have addressed some of these things.
Video of me speaking that I can show you later.
Please do. But we did fix some potholes, and it's on our website. You can see the actual website where we actually fixed some of our roads and some of the potholes. Yes, Ms. Davis?
So a communication issue, because on the first original streets in the original Northcliffe, less than 6 weeks ago, there were surveyors out. We as homeowners were not communicated with that these surveyors would be banging into our property lines. It took us reaching out to the city to find out that you're planning on redoing our sewer, our water, and our streets. None of that was communicated to us as residents. My concern is I have neighbors within literally taking 15 steps from my front door that are not mobile. And they were not communicated with that strangers would be on their property, that this is going to happen. Turns out you're going to be turning our water off. Turns out that we could and most likely will lose access to our driveways. And the city does not communicate that with residents, except you put it on our onus, oh, go check the website. I literally have neighbors that wouldn't know how to use the internet if they tried. And that's not against them, it's just not their generation. So what is the city going to do to communicate with us as residents instead of expecting us to go click on a website?
No, communication is always going to be an issue. As much as you try to advertise it on a magazine, on a website, or by mouth, there's always going to be someone that does not get that communication. We'll have to work harder on trying to get that communication. But that's the only thing that we can do is work harder, put it on the magazines, put it everywhere. Going door to door, I don't think that's possible. But disseminating information is always going to be a struggle. Yes, back there. What is your question? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
She says she gets the magazine on the city. She's never seen Northcliffe mentioned anywhere, and I asked that we respect her.
Well, apparently,
We're not newsworthy, apparently.
there is 41 subdivisions in Schertz. There is 45,000 residents that live in Schertz. And that, like I said, communication, we do need to work hard on that. if you didn't get the information that we were gonna work in this area, then that's a flaw in what we need to do to try to correct it.
How was that information distributed?
Yes, sir.
My question, when we had developers come through several years back, we came to the city and expressed our concerns about they're not following the UDC, the rules outlined by the city. There were two opportunities for you to vote throughout that whole ordeal. And both times you voted in favor of the developer, which was in favor of not following our UDC. Can you explain why that vote came that way and what the thought process was of not following those city rules?
Well, that's incorrect, sir. I did not vote. Oops, excuse me. I did not vote on any of that. I only vote when there's a tie.
Right.
I only vote when there's a tie. And there was not a tie because you did reach the 20% threshold, which needed a 6-1 vote. So even if I would have voted, it wouldn't have counted. So I did not vote during the opportunities that were brought to the city.
So
There was a tie.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. You can actually see, I'm not gonna argue here with you, but you can actually see that I did not vote on any of the projects that were here for Northcliffe, because you reached the 20% threshold. Did you or did you not reach it? You're very familiar with
I'm very familiar, yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So if you met the 20% threshold, you needed a 6-1 vote to get that through. And the other thing is that an absentee counts as a no vote. So there is just no way I could have voted for that project.
So what happened was both times we didn't meet that threshold for the supermajority until the second reading. It was the first reading that you were able to vote on a tiebreaker. It was 2 times.
I did not vote on any of the tiebreakers.
Ignoring that fact, which way would you have voted at that point in time?
It's, at this time, it's hard to even, there's so many projects that come into our
I
city.
think it's a yes or no question.
Well, the thing is that there is no yes or no question. We have to look at the development and see whether or not it fits the needs of our city.
But what about the neighborhood?
Time's up. Time's up.
Okay.
Sorry.
I would ask that when you are asking your questions or the speaker is speaking, that you please be considerate to them. Let them finish what they're saying. And don't start just yelling interruptions in between. We didn't invite them here to be beat up. We invited them here to ask and answer questions. Okay, moving on, we're going to go with Ralph Gutierrez, who is running for...
Rodriguez.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ralph Rodriguez, who is running for mayor. Ralph? There you are, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. So, when y'all were walking in, some of y'all got by me. I tried checking everybody's bags to make sure nobody had any oranges, bananas, any kind of fruit that y'all can throw at me while I'm up here. But I think I'm safe. But anyway, my name is Ralph Rodriguez, and I am running for mayor for the city of Schertz for the very reason that y'all just stated. All right, I feel like we're lacking transparency. I feel like we're lacking communication. I feel like we're lacking integrity, and we need to communicate with our people if we're going to get things done. I am a lifelong resident of the city of Schertz. I grew up here as a kid. I graduated from Samuel Clemens High School in 1983. My wife graduated from Samuel Clemens High School, as well as all of our kids did as well. So we're lifelong residents. I've turned down, because I am a fire chief for Bexar County ESD number 2. Some say that I'm just a firefighter, but you have to be a firefighter first before you can become a fire chief. But so in Bexar County, we protect a fire district of 60 square miles, 170,000 people. and I managed to be able to communicate with all the residents in my district. And I plan to do the same as mayor for the city of Schertz for the 45,000 people that we have here. I can remember when I was a kid, I worked for Rogers Construction Company and doing a lot of the grading of the homes that are here in Northcliffe, when it was just a small community. When I worked for the city of Schertz, because I worked for Schertz Fire Department for 20 years, I remember responding with Northcliffe Volunteer Fire Department on a lot of calls. You know, this whole area out here means a lot to me. I understand that the city is gonna grow, it's gotta change. I feel that we need to be able to manage that growth, but we have to have the citizens' input when it comes to that. All right, just like I feel like there was not a whole lot of communication whenever we switched garbage companies. All right, at the end of the day, we're the ones paying for that bill. But it's the city council that's making those decisions on the behalf of us, but yet we're left with the bill, right? And the thing is, we have to look at and think about our senior citizens, right? On a good day like this, they're challenged to get their trash cans to the curb. Can you imagine doing that on a rainy day or icy conditions, on the challenges that they're gonna have to be able to do that? So I feel that we're lacking transparency, we're lacking communication, and we're lacking integrity, and so that's one of the reasons why I'm running. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Well, I feel as a citizen of Schertz that we elect our officials, and yet our neighborhoods, we don't feel that we were heard. We made it very clear about not wanting density here because it's not appropriate. The only real outlet to our whole neighborhood is Country Club Boulevard. And maybe there's gonna be something, it said put near 1103. I think it should get put there first before you start putting anything in here. That's just my opinion, but I would like to feel that the council cares about us. And not everybody comes out. So to get as many people who come to the meetings and who have had input when it came out 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that means there's a lot of interest, and we don't want density here for a good reason. I can't articulate all the reasons other than the traffic, but there were very educated people who did articulate. What I would like to know is there any possibility of us having a council that cares, that doesn't stand up there and say, we want what's best for the city of Schertz, and yet when the citizens say what they want, it doesn't count.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is I feel that you should have a voice and your opinion should matter because you're the ones living here. All right, and so we should be able to say what kind of city we want to be able to live in. All right, the reason that we're the ninth safest city in Texas, all right, and we're in the top 100 in the nation is because of the way the city is, but at the rate that we're going, it's not going to be that.
Hello, sir. I had an engagement with your wife online, so you probably already heard some of my concerns. I've been here, I'm part of...
They can't hear you.
Sorry. I'm Anna. I'm on the HOA board for the Fairways of Scenic Hills, but today I'm only talking as a resident. Some of you guys know me. Some of you guys see me walking in the morning with my headphones bobbing my head as I'm walking up and down. I think the biggest gripe, I've been here since the beginning of 2022. And I've been involved with the community as best as I can. And I think the biggest issue that I have, my address is Cibolo. I didn't know for a year it belonged to the city of Schertz. And I'm not the only, every time I get a new resident, the first thing I do go, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's all the confusing stuff. Here's how it actually goes. Here's the school districts. So I try to be part of the welcoming committee. The biggest problem that I see, obviously, everybody stated the golf course stuff. That's a separate issue. I cannot control that. We could just do what we can. But the biggest gripe that I always see is that we always hear, we did all this great stuff for our community, but everything's 20 minutes away. That has always been my issue. I see maybe a police officer in our area to say, I walk this area almost daily. We had a drive-by right off from Columbia at the beginning of the year. I only see a police officer maybe twice a week. Some people call me the watchtower because the way my house is, I could see almost everything coming in and out. But it's like that for everything. The only time we are front and center is when they want to throw a developer at us. But other than that, I've called for the sinkhole in front of my house, and then every time I call, they're like, no, you didn't call, it just gets lost. It feels like we have to do a lot of the legwork. So even when we are cooperating, and yes, I do watch the YouTube channel, I posted on our page, yes, I do watch community impact. Some of you guys have seen me going, hey, our taxes are going up, it got passed, it's right here in the community impact page. The magazine for City of Shirts, I read all that and I post it on our page. But even, it's been, 4 years, almost a couple years for me, and we still feel like we're just we're like an upside down L, and we're just this hook in this corner, and we're just kind of forgotten. All the resources are going to the main strip, and we're just forgotten a lot of the times. Even the splash pads, and like, hey, we get people with kids. I go, this splash pad, what's closed? So we get this playground, and everything's closed.
Yeah, so who manages the splash pad out here? Is it the city? Okay. All right,
Yeah.
but I can tell you that public safety is definitely one of my top priorities.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely make that a priority for the city of Shirts. It's important for me that, one, that we have top-notch paramedics that respond to your door, and that we have very well-trained and educated firefighters that also respond, as well as enough police officers to be able to protect our city. And sometimes that may require us raising taxes a little bit to make sure that we have those things in place. But those are the people that are gonna take care of us. So we need to take care of them.
Yeah.
Because the last thing that we wanna do is have a high turnover ratio where we have police officers that are constantly leaving, or firefighters or EMS workers, because the pay is better somewhere else.
And we understand you have to raise taxes. Everybody knows the cost of living went up. But don't raise our taxes and then we still feel like we're not getting much for it. I guess that's the bottom line, sir.
No, that's correct. I'm gonna tell you, when I told you that I've been here for a long time, I have. And not only have I been here for a long time, but I've given back to the community by coaching Little League activities for over 30 years. And I've given many of my kids rides home, and through that, driving down these streets, I still see the same bad streets, same potholes that have existed for the longest time. All right, and it's time that y'all quit being neglected, and it's time that y'all get heard. So, if y'all vote for me as a mayor, we'll be there.
Okay, for those of you who are gonna go vote, which I hope you all do, I want you to notice, I switched the names. I had a dyslexic moment when I was doing my typing. Our mayor is Ralph Gutierrez, and that was Ralph Rodriguez. So don't go and, say, okay, I'm voting for the mayor, and I'm voting for our current mayor, which is Ralph Rodriguez, or no, I'm voting for the incumbent, and that would be Ralph Gutierrez. So just make sure that you notice that which one was which. Okay, next we're gonna have Mark Davis come up. He is the current council member for Place One, and he is running unopposed.
He's right by you.
Just snuck up on you a little bit. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Davis. I am now wrapping up my third term on city council. Been on there since 2016. Decided to give it another shot. We'll see how that goes. There's not a lot to say. There's been a lot of good dialogue so far tonight, and I think you're hitting on a lot of good issues. There are a lot of challenges, and what I've learned in my time on council is there's a lot of folks that don't understand the challenges that council faces. One of the entertaining things that I get all the time is, I love our small town, and we need to protect our small town. And I grew up in a town in Pennsylvania, northeast Pennsylvania, that was about 20,000 at the time. It's down to about 12,000 now. And Church is 45,000, and it covers 32 square miles. 5.5 miles of frontage on 35, all the way down to the center point and all the way down to Interstate 10. It's a big area, and there are a lot of challenges out there. I myself, I don't think council goes out of the way to ignore anybody. You would not believe on how many phone calls and messages I get on streets from, as Mayor Gutierrez said, 40 plus some HOAs out there. Everyone's got a street problem out there. The council over the years has, and the city staff has made some good improvements on that. We went to a specialized system that comes out with a special truck and does radar readings of the streets and roads, so we can actually assess all the streets and rack and stack them on which ones are in the worst shape, which ones need a total rebuild, which ones can go with just a slurry sill or a top coat. The reality of it is, we have a lot of streets, 32 square miles of city. We have a lot of streets that need repair. And unfortunately, our budget can't cover everything in 1 year. So I do encourage you, if you have a problem out here, let the staff know. More importantly, let your council know, let all of council know. Frequently I get phone calls from folks that says, "Are you my council member?" And I say, "No, we're all your council members. All of your council members run at large, so all 7 council members are your council members. And if you have a problem, I can tell you now, the best way to get it addressed or get a good answer is to email the mayor and all 7 council members at the same time. Because we will reach out to the staff, and the staff will get an answer, and you may not hear, I'll be totally honest with you, you may not hear from every council member or everybody on council, but somebody will get back to you. I promise you that, somebody will get back to you. So without that, and since I'm running unopposed, what questions do you have for me? Yes, ma'am.
And I know you and I have spoken at this at length, and the reason I can't be on Parks and Parks Council is literally I don't have the time as a public educator. But I feel like our area, and then we can extend that to the bottom of 15, 18, our 18 through 15-year-olds have nothing to do. And bored kids, I can say this as a high school teacher, bored kids equal problems. When they can't drive. So it would be up to us as parents to get them to Pickerel Park, to get them to the church behind the Walmart in Cibolo, because that place is doing a great job for the kids in our communities. There's nothing for our kids to do here. So what is the city doing to help us? There may be a lot of gray hair in this room, but that would be because the parents of the kids at that age, it's Monday night. They're at either practice or they're doing something, but because that's what the parents have to do, they have to drive them so they can't be here.
I got some answers for you. Before I got on city council, I spent 8 years on the Parks Advisory Board. And the city has a Parks Master Plan that was just published. The one before that, I wrote. So I know a lot about the parks. Let me give you the history on some of this. The city of Schertz, back in the day, when as it was growing, there were 3 options for developers to do when they were developing parks, or when they were building a residential area. They could either put in an HOA park, they could put in a city park, or there was an option where they had what was called parkland fees in lieu of. And that was a fancy term for the developer could buy their way out of putting in anything. That program created gaps in our service area. That, coupled with HOA parks, creates gaps. I live in an HOA where we have nothing. No park, no pool, no amenity center, no nothing. So when you have that type of setup, you get gaps in the system. Over time, we've worked to correct that. We've done away with the parkland fees in lieu of. We don't let developers buy their way out of not putting in a recreational program or recreational facility anymore. The proposals that you saw for this area, you notice that even though they didn't get approved, they had things like amenities, dog parks, things like that, and park areas.
They gated those, so we couldn't have got in.
It goes back and forth. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan of HOA parks, because what it does is it creates a barrier, a gap in the system. The way to fix this is, we do have some parks coming up here. We have a big project coming up with Hilltop Park up in the north side area here. That park was a city park, and two of the adjoining HOAs opted to combine their open space that they had, it was just open dead space on the side there. Across the other side of the hill is the Hilltop, or Homestead, side of the house with the pond. That links with those facilities, and that's gonna create one giant park area up here. Now, as far as amenities for the kids, your best opportunity to get that fixed is to go to a Parks and Recreation Board meeting and address it with them. Because they're the ones that sort of rack and stack and come up with all the plans of how we're gonna try to fix these gaps and fill things in. I wish we had an unlimited checkbook, because I can tell you right now, I can list you 5 or 6 different parks that playscapes need to be replaced, amenities need to be replaced, but we've got to get input from you folks as well as into the Parks and Recreation Board. Sir?
I've talked to plenty of the staff members, the city staff members, and they said the biggest problem with shirts right now is the idea that in the 1950s, people gave them a tremendous amount of land. There's 100 acres of land over at Pickerel Park. If you are at the city center, at the council, within you is everything. There is absolutely nothing out here, and their problem is they cannot give any of that property away. And maintenance is 100 times more expensive than giving property. There are exactly 2 parks out here, and I went and looked at them. There is one over on Eckhart Road that's under an easement for the utility easement. It's exactly 1 acre. The company Cypress Park Point built that, and then they decided to give it to the city, and the city took it, which was wrong, because now the city has to maintain that. There's exactly 3 parking spots there, one of which is a handicap. So if I wanted to meet you, I can't because, well, somebody else is in the parking spot. Terrible, terrible. The city took that on. But there's 100 acres. And when I asked the city staff, why don't you sell that land and put in parks over here? They said they can't. Per the city statute right now, they cannot give any land back.
It's not a city statute, it's state law.
Okay.
If you have parkland in the city, the only way to get rid of the parkland is it has to go out before the voters for a vote. That's state law.
Okay, but that's the problem, because if you're within 5 miles of where the council is, 90% of the parks are there. And again, we haven't seen any change in that in the 30-some years I've been here.
Well, again, it's not that, that's where 90% of the parks are.
Where are they? The map I looked at says exactly that by acreage, 90% is within 5 miles.
Look at things like Belmont and the things trying to, the problem is when they built Belmont, they put in an HOA park. That's one of the problems. So now the problem is going forward, where can we find some land to expand recreational activity? Allow me to rephrase that. Where is there open land that we can afford to buy? Because the other part of the problem is, if you've been watching our city council meetings, you will see that right now that we have some fiscal challenges.
Everybody does.
Well,
the problem is not buying the property, it's maintaining the property. Literally, the cost of maintenance is 100 times what it was when I was a kid. My dad had a sod farm, so I know what it takes to maintain turf. Okay, and that was me. That's who did it all back then. Now you have every one of your employees, it's $100,000 a year. By the time you get into 401k, retirement, all the rest of these things, they need new pickup, they need utilities, they need everything else. That's the part. And if you don't get rid of all these other parks, there's no money for this.
well, again, we can't get rid of parks by saying, well, we can go over.
You say, well, why don't you do that?
Bring it up to council, we can bring it up to council.
That's the only way, because literally there's 100 acres down there, Pickerel Park, all the rest of that stuff, and there's nothing here. Can't make it any simpler.
Sorry,
But
time's
hold
up.
my time. Yeah.
Okay, there's two other things that are coming up for vote pretty quick in November. We can vote to bring our homestead exemption up from 100,000 to 140,000. It's SJR2. Is that correct, Mayor? And then also, please vote for seniors and disabled people who now get an extra 10,000 exemption to get a 60,000 exemption in the future. That's SB 23. That will help everybody.
Well, and there's Prop A. Prop A for the school district, and I'm gonna give a senseless plug. Please recognize if you vote positively for the homestead exemption, which you all should, that's just good for your bill, to vote for the homestead exemption. All the school district is literally asking is that you get a little less back. Your taxes are not gonna increase, because if your homestead exemption goes up, literally a little bit of your refund will go to the school district. And recognize that you're losing some of the best teachers in the area because this school district cannot keep up with competing areas. And all of the money that the school district is asking for will go to these things and these things only. Staff salaries, to the kids, to athletics, to fine arts, to band, to replacement of technology. That's where it's going. It's not going to a new building. It's not going to new positions. It's simply to take care of the kids that we have. And if you are 65 or older, it's no increase at all. It's zero. But your vote matters for the kids. That's a fact. Thank you.
So, as long as we're talking elections, so for those that live in Guadalupe, I know the rest of the neighbor part of it's in Comel, but Guadalupe, this will be a vote center for election day. Early voting, probably the closest one will be the fire station. But on election day for the constitutional amendments, this center will be open. You'll see me here because I'm one of the judges here.
Can I just say that for seniors, what these two votes would mean for senior citizens, between the tax exemption we get for homestead and then for being a senior, means we won't pay taxes on $200,000 of what the house is worth. So some of us won't pay anything, except a tiny bit of road tax, almost. And there's a surplus of money in the state of Texas, so it's going to be good for everybody.
Please, the handout is long, the incumbent. Mayor is the incumbent. Garrett, okay? Candidate is Rodriguez. Okay, great, so please.
That was my dyslexic typing moment. Did Michelle Watson speak in? Michelle?
No, she's not here.
Okay. John Carbone said that he will not be here since he is currently on the zoning commission, and he felt it would be a conflict of interest for him to be voting for the zoning and at the same time coming here to talk about it. Michelle Watson was, I sent her 3 emails and she never answered about coming, so those are your 2 choices that you have, and they're both listed as Michelle Watson is the incumbent and John Carbone is running against her. Okay, that ends, yes.
One quick thing, I received a notice that my voting had moved from Guadalupe County to Comal County, and I've been in my home for 10 years. I called Comal County, and they said that there was an issue that the state did in around March, and there were 254 counties were impacted by these changes. So, point of the story is, make sure you check that you're registered to vote, and if not, call your county election office. I called Comal County like 2 weeks ago. I called them again today, and they said, oh, well, we just reached out to Guadalupe County, and they're gonna take care of it, so just give them a call and find out. But if you look online, you'll be able to see where you're registered to vote.
Yep.
Right now mine says Comal, and I'm Guadalupe. So something happened with voter registration.
Yeah, it's a good point. If you live in the Fairways of Scenic Hills, like HOA area, literally half our houses are in Guadalupe and the other half is in Comal. My driveway is in Guadalupe and my home is in Comal. So literally the county line is going through my house. Okay, so the first time I voted, I got turned away because I thought I was supposed to go by the downtown Shirts area. They're like, no, you don't belong here. You have to go way over there. So please check so you know which county you have to vote in, especially if your house is on a county line. A lot of our houses are on a county line, okay?
If you show up here at North Center and you don't live in Guadalupe County and not registered in Guadalupe County, it's gonna be a lot harder for me to get you to vote here.
Yeah.
They told me today that I would be able to vote, even if I wasn't even if I was still listed as Comal County, I'd be able to come here.
That's what I was told too.
Okay, at this time, we want to thank our candidates. Let's give them a round of applause for the candidates. We appreciate your input to our community. We're going to take a quick little 5-10 minute break while we get set up for the